Mason Trumbull. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Environmental Conservation at the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And we're here to have a listening session on bears, as you all know. Thank you for coming out. Again, I'd like to thank, before I get started, I'd like to thank Mayor Cantor. I called her and said, hey, we'd like to do a bear listening session. Is that something you think your community would be interested in? She said, absolutely. We'd love to partner with you on that. So really appreciate hosting us here at this space and making that happen kind of on a last minute basis. So much appreciated there. So why are we here? Well, we are conducting 4 listening sessions across the state. We started in Sharon, which is out in the western, right near the New York border in the western part of the state. We moved to Derby, Burlington, and now we have one here in West Hartford. And our goal is to hear from residents across the state in rural areas. Obviously, West Hartford is our most urban and suburban area. Knowing that we have bears across the western half of the state, we actually have bears in the entire state of Connecticut. Bears have been reported in all 169 towns. But most of the bear activity that we see is on the western half of the state. And certainly West Hartford has its fair share of bears and fair share of bear encounters. And so we wanted to have one of our listening sessions in a region where it was a more urban, suburban area. So we've seen an increase in human-bear conflicts across the state at a statewide level, both in the number of conflicts and the severity of those conflicts. And so our goal as an agency that manages wildlife populations across the state is really twofold. We want to see healthy populations of all of our native wildlife species, including black bears. We also want to make sure that our residents here in the state are able to live safely with those wildlife populations. And with the rise of human-bear conflicts, we thought these listening sessions would be very helpful, especially as we are in the process of working on a bear management report. So bears can be active at any time of the year, but certainly this time of year, bears are more likely to be hibernating. And so it's a good time for our bear management team to take a step back from some of their field work and focus more on their scientific and report writing efforts. And so we're in the process right now of working on a bear management report that we hope to have released in 2026. And so as part of that process, again, we wanted to hear from residents regarding your personal experiences with bears in your communities, in your backyards, etc. Which leads me to my next point. If there's one theme from these bear management sessions that we've seen so far, is that no two experiences with bears are exactly the same. And so we have seen a range of emotions that folks have shown regarding bears, ranging from joy, I love seeing bears, to fear, bears have scared me or have harmed my property, and everything in between. So my challenge for you tonight is we want to hear from you. We want to hear about your personal experience, but I want to challenge you to recognize that your experience may not be like this, or may not be the same as your neighbor's experience. And so please respect the moderators, Eric and Kivia and Paul. They've been doing a good job trying to keep these meetings orderly, making sure that everyone has a chance to speak and keep things moving along in a timely manner. And then please respect your neighbors. The nice thing about these events are, what we've seen is these are regional events, these are your neighbors, and so please, your neighbors may have a very different experience with you, that's okay. Again, we're trying to hear from everyone. I will address, we know there's strong opinions related to hunting. This is not meant to be a referendum on hunting specifically. Again, our goal, we do have a question at the end that allows you to state your recommendations on how, give us some advice, but really we're here to hear about your personal experience. So keep that in mind. Asking for respect, and Eric and Kivia will help keep the meeting on track. Before I go any further, I just want to again reiterate my thanks to Mayor Cantor and give her a chance to welcome you here as well. So, Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out on this cold night. I'm sure everybody has so much to do. So it shows how important this is, that you are really concerned about the community and the safety and bears and the bear population. I just want to give a couple of thank yous to Elmwood for hosting us. Our town managers in the back, Rick Ledwith. We talk bears quite frequently. So I also saw Renee McHugh in the audience. Thank you, Renee. She is responsible for all the communications that you get from the town, so we're so grateful for the work that she does. Thank you to WHCI for being here, and so people can be at home while they're wrapping or doing whatever they need to do and be able to see this. Thank you so much. And WeHot.com for being here too. And of course, for DEEP, for reaching out and for being a partner with municipalities on many issues, but this being our latest big issue. We have lots of big issues, but anyway. So there are, we all, I think, many of us, I shouldn't say all, have bear stories, right? We're going to share some of them, and this is a listening session, and then DEEP is hopefully, Mason and I spoke, maybe come back to either those same communities, if not maybe share with another community the results of the input that they got and maybe directions for the town and help for residents throughout the towns across the state. And each town is different. We actually have bears that walk in the center of town along Trout Brook Trail. One likes the world of beer. And we have injured bears that like to eat pumpkins. There was one particular injured bear that was munching on pumpkins throughout the town. I actually had a neighbor that sent me a picture and said bears in the neighborhood, and I said, oh, it was a big black bear that was in front of a house. And I said, oh, which house was that? And they said, that's your house. And I was like, oh, okay. So we all have bear stories of a neighbor looking out on their patio, and a bear that was also munching on something outside. So we want to hear, from you. This is again a listening session, taking in information, your experiences, what you are feeling, and how we can help better live with bears. They are not going to go away, but how do we limit what how we interact with them and how we safely live with them. One of the things the town is doing, we have talked about educating people, not putting up bird feeders during bear season. Maybe during the winter is okay, and I wait for professionals on that. My husband loves our bird feeder, but I tell him April, it needs to mid-March, it needs to come down, and it doesn't go back up until end of November or so. Maybe we thought about that a little bit. But also one of the things that we recently have done is we initiated a leash law that helps with, I don't know if you know, but dogs are allowed to be not leashed on our sidewalks, and I didn't even know that. I thought that was something that just because parks and they're required to be on leashes, but sidewalks we did not require that. So we actually initiated a leash law, partly because of experiences with dogs that maybe are off leash and there's an encounter there, but this is an important thing. We're looking at controlling bears and making sure that people control their dogs. So that leash law has been passed and is being implemented. And so it's something that the town can do to help control our bear population and bear encounters that might escalate, right? So again, I'm so glad you're all here. I am going to be leaving in about 45 minutes or so, a half hour or so, to head to the UConn game, so I apologize for that. And I will watch the rest, which is nice that I can do that. But I want to wish you all a really safe and happy holiday season, and I really hope it's filled with peace and joy. So thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Akidia. I am with the Wildlife Division. Today I'll be moderating the comment period. So just super excited to hear from everybody. Just a reminder, today is a listening session. It's also an opportunity to share your lived experience with your neighbors. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Eric.
Thank you. Want to, just like the speakers before me, welcome you all here tonight. I also happen to be a resident of Elmwood, so I feel very at home here, and very glad that so many people have turned out tonight. My name is Eric Hammerling. I'm the director of the Office of Environmental Review and Strategic Initiatives at the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. So when you hear us talk about DEEP tonight, that's Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. We are not bear biologists. We are here specifically to talk about your lived experiences with bears. But before getting into that, we thought it would be important to set the stage a little bit by talking about some things that are in a report that was done about bears. So we're going to share some information with you, and then we'll open up to your thoughtful comments. But maybe we can make sure this is working, and then we'll get things going. It went to sleep because we were talking a little bit at you.
The phone needs to do the actual projector.
Coming back? The projector? Ah, there we go. Okay, so let's go right to this, which is, now this is a little bit of repetition from what you heard earlier from Mason, and it's answering a really important question, right? What are we doing here? What is this session all about, right? We are working at DEEP on a bear management report, which is only going to be really useful if it has, we believe, a lot of input from the public. So it obviously will have a lot of expertise in bears involved in it, but we want to make sure that we also reflect what we are hearing from residents of the state and your lived experience with bears. So we have the 4 sessions that were mentioned earlier. This is the 4th of 4. And all of the comments that are made tonight, just so you know, will be summarized and will be considered in that report. So that is how it is going to be used. And again, we thank you for helping us make it that much more useful to everyone. We can.
All right, let's set the stage for some ground rules for tonight. Like I was saying, it is an opportunity to share your lived experiences, but to also listen to your neighbors. So we'll give everyone the opportunity to speak if you would like to. We'll have a portion for that at the very end of the overview. So we'll do a pretty quick overview, some fast bear facts, and then give you all the opportunity to speak. If you have any comments, please direct them to the room or to me, but don't direct them to each other. Please don't do that. Remember to just stay respectful. We will mostly be responding to comments outside of questions. So we'll leave an email at the very end of the PowerPoint tonight that'll give you more information on how to contact us if you have any other questions or anything like that. So keep comments respectful. Really focus on that lived experience. Doesn't matter what's going on in somebody else's neighborhood or in Maine or Vermont, like what is going on in your neighborhood? What is your lived experience? So let's try to keep it focused on that. So you all have those comment cards in your chair. Feel free to hold on to those until after the session. So those cards, every single one of those cards will be reviewed. They'll be read, and like Eric was saying, we're taking all of that into consideration as we build this bear management plan. But like we said, your comments likely won't be, your questions likely won't be responded to tonight, but there will be an opportunity for you all to send an email or anything like that if you all would like to later on. We're going to keep comments at 2 minutes per comment, and so we'll have a timer. We'll come over to you with the mic. We'll go over that a little bit more, but just sit tight through a little overview, and you all have the opportunity to talk.
All right, so I mentioned that we'll be talking a little bit about information that is available about bears. This is a report that came out in March called the State of the Bears Report. If you just kind of, you could Google it, or however you, whatever browser or way that you look for information, State of the Bears Report 2025. But there's a lot of information in there, but we'll hit a few points to just kind of set the stage. Why don't we just dive right in?
So like Mason was saying, bears are in every town. So bears recolonized Connecticut in the 80s. And what this map is showing is where the density of bear sightings. So that does not mean that more bears are in this area. What that means is maybe there's more public awareness on how to report a sighting. Maybe there are more trail cameras in this area. Does not mean that there are more bears in this area. These are just the reported sightings. So in 2024, bears were reported in 159 of the 169 towns.
So some of you might have, gone online and looked up, which town in Connecticut has had the most bear sightings. Any of you have done that? What you probably returned from that search was West Hartford. And the point we want to make sure to make is not that that means that West Hartford has more bears. That means that more people in West Hartford reported bear sightings. Okay. So just to be clear, that doesn't mean we have a larger population, but we have had more sightings. In part, that's also because maybe there was a little more surprise that we had so many bears in West Hartford. I'm not saying we don't have plenty of bears here too, but we want to be really clear as we go through this, what this data kind of tells us, and maybe also what it doesn't tell us. And so we want to make sure to be fair-minded about it. One of the things that you'll see in this slide is, probably what we're most concerned about, and that is, when we're talking about human-bear conflicts, is when we get to that level of actually home entries. Looking at this slide, and you can see and I apologize for those of you in the back if you can't see this well, but the triangles that you're seeing on the kind of northwestern quadrant of Connecticut, those represent home entries. And in 2024, there were 16 towns that recorded home entries, a lot of home entries. And a home entry, just so folks know, this is kind of important to understand, DEEP has a very conservative definition that we use for a home entry. It's not just a bear that's on your property or a bear that kind of puts a paw through a screen door. It's a bear that forces itself into the living area of a home. That is a home entry. So, those are areas that, home entries have occurred. Now, it might be a little bit hard to see on this, but, some of those are in Avon, and so none of those are in West Hartford in this map. But maybe we should go to the next one. This is in 2025, or actually this represents between 2020 and 2025 the towns that had home entries. So you can see there are some additional towns beyond what was just shown in 2024. There were 264 home entries across 38 towns in western Connecticut that took place between 2020 and 2025. And you can see here, as you kind of chart these, they are, the incidence of home entries is rising over time. There is a little bit of a strange effect that I don't think, at least I don't understand. Our bear biologists have a better understanding on this, but it just so happens that on even years, we had a larger number of home entries. I don't know, and maybe Mayor Cantor knows that there might be some political connection, something that happens every 2 years. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I can say that as a West Hartford resident. But anyway, there is that general increase in home entries that we're seeing, and it's a trend that is certainly troubling and one that we have to be mindful of. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of the reports that we get at DEEP from people who have kind of human-bear conflicts that they're reporting, we've received over the last 5 years about 16,000 reports from all around the state on many things. I've been focused on home entries, but in terms of total reports of conflicts, it's been about 16,000. What this slide shows, and again, I apologize that it's a little hard to see from in the back, but this is the largest category, and this is the second largest. This is trash, and this is bird feeders. So about 2/3 of the human-bear conflicts are related to trash and bird feeders. There are a lot of other, here is this sliver, this blue sliver here is home entries. Obviously, that's a great area of concern, but relatively small. Trash and bird feeders. Just wanted to put that in perspective too, in terms of human-bear conflicts. Okay, so that's a little bit of the background. But as we get into the next area of talking about what DEEP does, and also some recommendations related to how to avoid and conflicts and/or live safely with black bears, we wanted you to hear from Paul Benjunas, who is a wildlife education and outreach expert, who also works with us at DEEP. And so I'm going to turn the mic over to him to say a few words about what we're doing and also some suggestions.
Okay, thank you, Eric. So, what is DEEP doing now? Well, it's a lot of things that we've been doing in the past, and there are some things that we're offering new. So for the first time this year, for instance, the Wildlife Division Outreach and Fur Bearer Program offered a free series of electric fence workshops. These were intended for folks that want to learn more how to protect your livestock, beehives, and crops using electric fencing, because if you've never done it before, it can seem a little intimidating. So we had a great turnout for those free workshops, and we're hoping to continue those into the future. As far as presentations go, staff are often giving presentations to town halls, conservation commissions, and at fairs and festivals as well. We also have our master wildlife conservationists. These are dedicated volunteers that receive special training, and within that core of volunteers, there are additional folks that are specially trained to give presentations on black bears, and they have been doing so across Connecticut for a number of years now. Media engagement, that's going to include things like TV and radio interviews. Staff have been doing those for years at this point, and usually do half a dozen or so each year. And then this is the second year in a row the agency has participated in a large-scale marketing campaign to help push information, mostly through social media ads, on how to live safely with bears, and you may have also noticed some of the billboards as well. Conflict management, so especially during the summer months of the year, staff spend an incredible amount of time directly addressing and responding to human-bear conflicts and providing technical assistance to the public. And then research, our Fur Bearer Program staff throughout the year are conducting research on black bears to learn more about population dynamics, and so that includes like habitat use, movement patterns, and reproduction. Okay, next, these are some current strategies for living safely with bears. So first, you want to prevent access to food and trash waste. So as you saw on the previous slide or the slide before that, roughly 2/3 of the reported conflicts involve bird feeders and trash, and those are two of the most easily preventable types of conflicts. So if you haven't already, it's a good idea to reach out to your town or trash hauler about switching to a bear-resistant cart. This is the 4th listening session that we've conducted, and it's been really positive to hear from the public just how effective those carts are at keeping bears out. Ideally, you do want to remove bird feeders entirely. In some cases, it's okay to feed during winter, but the reality is bears are not true hibernators. They can be active any time of year, and any time a bear gets to a garbage or a bird feeder, that is considered a conditioning event. And the more conditioning events a bear experiences, the more likely it is to participate in perhaps bolder behavior down the road. Hot pepper seed, niter seed, and hummingbird feeders, those are all attractants to bears as well. They will definitely take advantage of those free resources. Ideally, you want to exclude bears with electric fencing. When it's properly set up, it's about as close to 100% effective at keeping bears out from crops, livestock, beehives, things like that. And as I said, we're offering free workshops now, and we're hoping to continue to do so into the future. Staff are also available to provide some technical assistance as far as the planning and the installation of electric fences. And then lastly, and most importantly, you want to scare bears away when they're around your home looking for human-related foods, right? Ideally, we want them to have a natural fear of people. What we don't want to see are people approaching bears to get photos or videos. It's not really cute or funny. It's serious behavior, and we want to make sure that people are keeping their distance, and that we really want folks to really haze and scare the bear away from your yard. And our partners, Bearwise, have a lot of great handouts. I'm sure a lot of you saw on the back table there. And there's one document that specifically goes over how to best scare a bear away. All right, and I think with that, I'll turn it back over to Keith.
So, Akiva is going to be going through the questions in just a minute, but to make sure, because we have so many people here, we get through things. It's already 6:30, and we said that we're going to do this from 6 to 7:30. We may go a little bit late, but because we have 3 questions, it's going to be about 20-25 minutes per question. That means that we're going to have to, if everyone spoke, we would be here all night. So, and we want to get to you very quickly. So, 1 comment per question. 3 questions, 1 comment per question. So you could potentially speak 3 times. At the beginning of each question, we're going to read the question and say, would anyone like to speak? And ask you to raise your hand. Okay, and then we'll go in order by the numbers that we hand out. And we're going to come around with the mic one by one. So, wait for the mic. And then we're going to have a timer. So it's going to depend how many people want to speak, how long we're going to be able to have each person speak. But our goal, like Akiva said earlier, is like 2 minutes. But if we have a lot of hands go up, it might be less than that. So we're just going to have to see how people respond on each question. And the 3 questions that we're asking people to speak to are the 3 questions that you have at your seat. So do just know that if you choose not to speak for whatever reason, not everyone's comfortable with public speaking, you can just write down what you'd like to contribute tonight and hand that in to us, and that is also input that we value. I think that's actually it. But just also remember that courteous behavior that Akiva mentioned earlier, that Mason mentioned earlier. Direct comments towards us, value that there may be many opinions in the room. Please respect that, and we're going to have a great night.
All right, time for the portion everybody's waiting for, the comment period. So these are our 3 questions tonight. What strategies have worked well to reduce human-bear conflicts in your neighborhood? What human-bear conflicts are you most concerned about? What's not working well? How can the state and/or municipalities help you live more safely with bears? Just keep in mind with these questions. Just try to stay on topic. Focus on your lived experience, the experiences that you are seeing in your neighborhood. It'll help the conversation be a little bit more productive. So the first question: what strategies have worked well to reduce human-bear conflict in your neighborhood? So with this question, kind of think of what safety bear practices have worked well in your neighborhood. What's working? Has any action been particularly helpful at reducing bear practice or conflicts? If you are interested in answering that question, feel free to raise your hand and we'll come over.
Paul, do you want to start back here?
And don't think you can only raise your hand for one question. So if you're trying to save that comment for a particular question, feel free to raise your hand now. All right, who has number 1? Just curious.
All right, and Paul, what number are you at there?
I just handed out 13.
13? Okay, let's go to minutes. Number 1? Yes, please.
Okay,
I'll hold this, but you speak into it. Go ahead. It's okay.
all right. I have a fairly large garden. There are bears that have been back and forth in our neighborhood. We're out by Woodridge Lake. And I installed an electric fence, just one wire on the top of the fence that I have around it. The garden is completely fenced in. But the fence is only about this high. In order for the bear to get into the garden, they have to put their paw on the top, and that should do it. I know it's done it to me more than once. And anecdotal evidence suggests that it is effective. We have bears that have come through the backyard, but they've also just turned around and gone away lately. In the last year. They have not gotten into the garden, even though there's been plenty of things to eat in there. All of my bird feeders are inside the garden area. So anecdotally, I haven't actually seen a bear zap itself. That would be a lot of fun. But anecdotally, the electric fence has been effective in protecting the things that I needed to protect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2?
Hi, I lived in Simsbury for over 20 years, and bears would come through our yard on an occasional basis. The first time we noticed that, we also noticed them destroying one of our bird feeders. So what we did after that was we took our bird feeders in, made sure we secured our trash, and even though they would come through, they just kept going. We didn't have any problems after that. It was really managing our behavior, managing bears.
Thank you. Number 3?
I'm also from Simsbury. One of the things that we've done that has been low cost is really putting natural barriers up around our property. So putting some down trees, things like that, where there was paths before the homeowner previous to us had them. So just rerouting different ways so that they don't come through the property that we are at. And also just keeping our trash in our garage. We're fortunate to have a large enough garage. It sounds simple, but you'd be shocked if many of my neighbors don't have their trash in the garage. It's blowing my mind still. But just doing simple things like that will hopefully deter, we've seen a little bit of deterrence, but it's still present.
Thank you. Number 4?
Hi, I live in West Hartford on a dead-end road that is near the traffic brook. And evidently bears like being near the brook, they are in our neighborhood constantly. We've taken down our bird feeders, we had a hummingbird feeder, we took that down. We're also kind of a secluded neighborhood, and we have a neighborhood Facebook group. And anytime people see bears, they post it on our Facebook group, and so people find more about where the bears are when they're about, so it helps us keep an eye out and try to keep the kids safe.
Thank you. Number 5?
I live in Granby, about 200 feet from the King Game Refuge, so we got lots of bears in the neighborhood. I think it works is bear-resistant trash cans. I've been doing my own with industrial load lighting straps. Another neighbor uses stainless steel cable and carabiners. Another fellow has some commercial purchase ones. They work. I got video of Beta wrestling with them unsuccessfully. And at this point, when they come by, they keep the can open and they keep on going.
Thank you. Number 6.
I don't know if I'm 6 or 9.
Is there a 9? Is there?
I'm 6 then.
Okay.
I thought it was 9.
Well, yes,
I'm a resident of West Hartford. So in our neighborhood, we've peacefully coexisted with them for a while. They come through fairly frequently. One thing we've done is we bang pans so that people in the summer know, hey, there's a bear in the neighborhood. We're really close to an elementary school and we've never had an issue. And the other thing that we've done is we also have a distribution list, a text stream for the neighborhood. So we just alert people so that they know there's a bear in the neighborhood and they're aware if they're out walking. So it's been effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7.
Hi, I'm from Harwinton. It's a small town between Burlington and Torrington. I'd like to point out that things are a little bit different as you get away from the central part of the state. My wife and I run a small farm, and we've had some success with fencing, but it's a little different than everything that's been mentioned so far, because for 4 acres where we keep chickens and goats, that's close to 1,000 feet, which also needs maintenance. And we still had bears coming through. We eventually did the whole property, added another couple hundred feet, but you know, they still try it sometimes, and that is it's an imperfect solution.
Thank you. Number 8.
I'm Rose Morris from Brooklyn, Crossing Cross Rehab Center. It keep acknowledges that the primary cause of human-bear conflict is human behavior, such as unsecured trash, bird feeders, and outdoor pet food. How does killer bears in their natural habitat address the human actions that created the problem in the first place? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9.
Bingo. I am from North Granby, and we have a little over 30 acres. And there's been a lot of bear activity on our property since we moved in. But we live really well with them because we don't do anything that attracts them into our world. They go through the property, we watch them raise their cubs. We've got mostly our land we put in protection, so we're not going to develop it. But we coexist well. We immediately, when we bought the property, we bought the bear trash cans. And these bears are so keen to, easy access cans. We have cameras all over our property. When we started the bear trash can, they just look at them and walk by. They don't even try to go in, even if there's food in there that they can eat. So that works really well. When we walk our property, we make human noises. The bears don't want to interact with us. We make human noises, we avoid conflicts, they really are not aggressive. Don't get in between them and the cubs, of course. Try not to surprise each other. If you come up on one and surprise them, that can be a conflict. But there's a lot of bear on our property, and we don't have issues. We don't cook with our screen doors open. We don't put the food cubes out into the environment that attracts the bear to the house. So when we cook, we make sure we do not have screen doors open. We have all of our doors closed. We make sure we keep our garage doors closed so we don't come in for the trash cans when they're not closed. I mean, all of these common sense things have really helped us, and we don't feel threatened at all. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's been our experience. We love seeing them. We realize we moved into their world, and we're respectful of their existence. And our experience has been that we have more of a human problem than we do a bear problem.
Thank you so much. Number 10.
So I'm a lifelong West Hartford resident. I live near the center. And 6 years ago, we had a bear in the backyard eating from the bird feeder on Labor Day. And that was before I understood that really that was the problem. We switched now to just having the bird feeder out, as Mayor Cantor does at her house, from December through March. And we also keep our trash in the garage. And I'd like to advocate with Mayor Cantor while she's here to get some bear-resistant trash cans for residents who can't do that. If they don't have a garage or they don't have a shed where they can store it. So I think those are the kinds of things that we're doing in my neighborhood. We haven't since 6 years ago when we had the bird feeder during the summer. We haven't had a bear in the backyard. We've had them in the front yard just walking by. But we do things like other people have mentioned in terms of making noise so they don't, approach your house if there's no food that they're smelling or seeing. Typically, they're just walking by. So, thank you.
Thank you. Number 11.
Hi, I live in West Hartford. I live over Weston Mountains Road, so the bears typically come down from the reservoir, cut through our backyards. So what our neighborhood has done, we're just like a little circle, so we made a text chain. A lot of my neighbors have Ring doorbells, so the minute somebody sees a bear, the text goes out that the bear's in the neighborhood, because we're trying to protect the kids, especially during, and the bears, especially, when the school buses are coming. I used to keep my garbage can outside, and I found that whenever I had lobster or shrimp shells or peanut butter, they tend to come. So most of us have moved our cans inside. We do find, though, that they always know when it's garbage day. So a lot of us have just started moving the garbage out early in the morning. And so that's pretty, and we've gotten rid of bird feeders. So I obviously love bears.
Thank you. Number 12.
Good evening. I have two comments. One thing that I feel so grateful to see such a majestic and beautiful animal. We're really lucky to have such wildlife on our landscape. My lived experience used to be trash issues in my neighborhood. And one time I grabbed a dinner bell and ran out like a banshee and ran towards it. And you've never seen a bear move so quickly. And we have not had bear problems since then. And the other thing that I started doing is I learned more and more about this situation, how bears develop habits, and this is an animal behavior problem, or what are easy ways for people to deter them. And the three easiest things I've found is the relentless dinner bell, a bear whistle, deterrent whistle, which is also available at Bearwise, and also a shaker jar with coins in it. So whatever you need to do to just be relentlessly annoying to the bear and make it leave hungry, that will change the bear's behavior.
Thank you. And I think we have one more, number 13.
I'm from West Heartland, and what has worked for me well, because I have a fairly large property, but it pertains to people like in West Hartford too. One of the most effective things that I've used is electric fence to protect chickens, and since I have a large property, people, tend to think that they have to do the whole property. What I did was I only electric fenced the areas that needed to be, like around the chicken coops. If I have, bears don't hibernate, so if we have bird feeders out like during the winter, like so we have 50 this weekend, I have like minimum 10 feet around that bird feeder that's electric fence. Okay, so it's electric fence all year round. So if bears, we don't have a law outlawing bird feeders, and I don't think anybody wants that, so that's a way of protecting your bird feeder. I never let my dog out off leash. I always with that dog. He has an area within the yard that is electric fence that I can let him out. So there's a barrier between him and any bears that may come in. I electric fence my entire yard around my house, which is fairly small. But that allows people, children, the pets, the dogs to use that piece of property without having to electric fence the whole yard. I know that people like to walk the dog and let their dogs off leash, and I wish the state would, and towns would enforce that more often with their animal control. And the last thing I want to comment is the graph that was shown about the home break-ins, okay? You notice the spikes that went above the graphic. In each and every one of those years, we had a natural food failure. In other words, there was no acorn crop, or we had a failure of different, so that directly correlates to when bears start to be a problem. And there are solutions to that, which I'm sure people know about.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to the second question here. Same format. What human-bear conflicts are you most concerned about? So what's not being managed well? What's not working? Are there any particular bear activities or safety concerns in your neighborhood? Have you observed any conflict reduction strategies that just haven't worked well in your neighborhood? Again, same concept. If you're interested in taking on this question, feel free to raise your hand.
Okay, and we'll start on this side of the room this time, but just to note, for folks who might be standing in the back, there are some seats up front. If you're interested in sitting down, I know some folks, I personally prefer to stand, but if folks want to sit, there are some seats up here.
All right, who has number 1?
You are number 1, but hold on just one second. Want to see how many people so we can get the timing right.
Is there anyone I missed who'd like to speak?
Will, what number are you at?
This is 9.
Okay. 10, back there. All right, we're going to stay at 2 minutes.
Okay, I live in West Hartford, just south of Fern Ridge Park on Glennon, and we have bears frequently in that neighborhood. Well, a lot of the neighbors say they don't report the sightings anymore. But I wanted to mention that we don't keep our feeders out during the spring, summer, and fall, and we don't have trash that attracts the bears, but we do have bird houses, and I learned last summer that the bears can take down bird houses, rip them apart, and eat the baby birds. And I happen to like both my bird houses and the baby birds. We consider them our insect control. So I don't know, what I'd like to find out is what might be a good bear deterrent. I'm not sure putting electric fences around them would be very useful because we walk in the backyard, usually with shoes but not toys. So I would like to know, is a bird house considered a bird feeder? And the bear we had in our backyard was a mother bear teaching her cub. So we didn't go out, we didn't have a bear whistle or anything. I don't know what would have worked. But I just wanted to say that that's something I didn't know about.
Thank you. Number 2.
Hi, thank you very much for offering the session tonight to all the organizers and participants. My name is Mary. I live over on the border of Farmington and West Hartford, and I live in a condo association, Talcott Ridge, and there's also Talcott Forest and Talcott Glen. We happen to have big dumpsters over that way, and in the past several years, I've noticed more bears kind of raiding the dumpsters. And we've tried to encourage our condo management folks and our superintendent to somehow rig up something to help the dumpster deter fear. If the bears go up and into the dumpster on the top, or I watched a mama bear with 2 cubs actually not get in when it was combined together, but then just a few days later, I think a male bear just ripped the whole side door open. And then some of my neighbors
aren't able to reach up and into the dumpster, so they can't really do that, and they want to do the side door. So my suggestions or ideas perhaps would be to maybe have some research or do some pilot studies on dumpsters that would be bear-proof, maybe collaborate with some of the trash removal companies or some of the condo associations to try this out, and just kind of help reduce the garbage, the risk for other animals, and just, help the, not have a lot of trash around. Thanks.
Thank you. Three.
My name is Matthew Biden from Bristol. I think I'm most worried about what the bears can do to the kids. Last summer I was driving back home and I remember I saw a bear walking down the street and I turned the corner and there were a bunch of little girls like riding around on bicycles and they were about to head right that way, and I had to really quickly lower down the window and just let them know, because little kids don't know what to do, they don't think, or they might think they're friendly, just walk right up to them or panic. And I think that's my biggest worry. I trust most adults to kind of handle themselves around bears, but when it comes to little kids, especially in areas when they're kind of just roaming by themselves, I think that's the biggest concern for me personally.
Thank you. Number 4.
I live in West Hartford on Pearl Street, and I walk in Elizabeth Park very often after everybody has had picnics in the park on the weekends. And you can imagine who I see very often with tipped over garbage cans. That has habituated a huge number of bears to come from the mountain, across Trout Brook, all through our neighborhoods into the park. So we need some strategy to eliminate that.
Thank you. Number 5.
Hi, I live in West Hartford, and one of my main concerns, we have a great neighborhood group where we WhatsApp each other whenever there's a bear sighting. Recently, there was a report that a child was chased home from the bus stop by a bear, and that is a tremendous concern to me, is the safety of children and how we can protect them, teach them, or do whatever we can to make sure that they're not intimidated by groups.
Thank you. Number 6.
Hi, again, I'm from West Hartford, and a similar comment to one of the previous speakers is I was driving past an apartment complex, and in their parking lot was a big dumpster where there were bags of garbage that were overflowing. There was a mother and 2 cubs there going through the trash, and there was a neighbor from across the street was coming out, and I said, you might want to be careful. There's a bear and a couple cubs over there. He said, oh, they're there all the time. So I agree. I think these dumpsters are a big concern, and I wish somebody would come up with something to do about that.
Thank you. Number 7.
Hi, I'm from West Hartford. I live right next to Elizabeth Park, so I have a 6-year-old, so I feel your concern about children. I think everybody's concerned about that. But my most recent experience with the bears is that one came to our house and he pulled the lattice off the bottom of our deck and went under the deck. And I stood on our deck and screamed at it and stomped, but for 10 minutes, I'm apparently not good at hazing or intimidating. And it wouldn't go away, and I obviously couldn't leave my house to go outside because I didn't want to cross it, and it only left once a neighbor came with his trash can banging with a stick. And it was pretty scary. It took a long time for him to leave, and my hazing attempts didn't work. And as you can imagine, it's scary to defend your house like that with a little kid inside. So my concern is that they're becoming habituated even to our loud stomping noises, and that they're not responding to some of the hazing that is in the educational materials. And I'm just wondering if there's any additional guidance, especially if we don't have a bear horn, obviously gonna go out and get one, thanks for the whistle, but that, how do we defend our homes when they're in our homes? I want to co-habituate with them, but they're not paying rent, so I don't want them living under my desk. So that's what I would like more information on.
Thank you so much. Number 8.
My concern is inadvertent encounters. More than once, I've been surprised by a bear in my yard. Once while I was mowing the lawn, my wife once while she was watering the garden, and neighbors' kids have had similar events. They've even been able to tell me the number on the ear tag, so they were pretty close. So, one time I went out and stumbled upon a cub who was behind the shrubs I didn't notice, and the mother was not very far away with more cubs. So those surprises, they happen in such a large population.
Thank you. Number 9.
Thank you. I'm from East Hartford. I grew up in the mountains where there were many more black bears than here. However, we had less encounters. And I think that, I know that you're working really hard at it, the youth. However, I'm amazed by the lack of education of people in general. I see myself having to go door by door in my neighborhood, explaining kindly to the neighbors that it's time to remove their bird feeders, et cetera, et cetera. So where I grew up, you couldn't come into the area without encountering a booth with someone with a big sign saying, if you did not receive this training, stop by. And you would stop and they would go through everything. If you're walking, if you don't want those scary encounters, you have to be singing, talking, playing the radio, or playing classical music. They have to know you're a human. If you're outside with food, have music on. If the kids are outside, make sure they're making a lot of noise with kids' voices. They don't like coming to us. So this lack of education, I think, has caused us to kind of make them more comfortable, and now we have to repair a lot of the damage done. It's true that Connecticut is the only state here that is in non-hunting, but we don't need to get there if we all collaborate. And I see a lot of positive attitudes here. So we need to become educators, and I don't know if you can give us some outlets for that, so that we can ourselves, many of us willing to collaborate in our own neighborhoods in small or big ways. But I hardly find venues, unless I apply to work with you, which I won't because I'm retiring, but maybe as a volunteer. But my point is that this is something that we all have to create. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Number 9? Sorry, number 10?
Hi, I'm Annie Cornish, Connecticut State Director for Humane World, for animals. And building on what the prior speaker just said, I think one of the things not working well is where there's areas of conflict, there are often lack of community-wide efforts. Like, the whole community has to take this seriously and get involved. And I want to thank Mayor Cantor for the leash law and the bear-resistant trash can efforts here in West Hartford. That will work. But Simsbury, I spoke with USA Hauling. They do have a fair number of conflicts. Only 15% of the people of the homes there have trash-resistant trash cans, so there's a lot of room for improvement. Another thing that doesn't work well, and I do want to say, I preface this by saying I applaud Deep's presentation here this evening. It's spot on. But in the past, Deep has been continually pushing for a hunt of bears as a tool to mitigate human-bear conflicts. When the science is clear and abundant, that's not the solution. There was a conference out in Montana a few months ago that I attended, and not one, these are people of government agencies from all around the world. No one uses hunting as a tool to mitigate human-bear conflicts, nobody. So, and I want to thank also the 4 people from Deep to attend this conference, 2 NCON officers and 2 bear biologists. So I do want to applaud Deep for doing that, and I think this is a step in the right direction for truly finding a solution to this issue.
Thank you. Is there number 11? Awesome. So last question here. How can the state and/or municipalities help you live more safely with bears? So what information, resources, tools would be helpful for your area? What support or partnerships do you think would help encourage better compliance with attractive management or otherwise promote aspects of keeping bears and people safe? If you're interested in answering that last question, please raise your hand.
Keep your hands up, I need a few more minutes.
This is always the most popular question.
Three more over here, Will.
And who has number 1, just out of curiosity? Okay, yeah.
Are you ready?
Not yet.
Right, did I miss anybody? No, okay, we have 19? Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to limit this to 1 minute. So here we go. Number 1.
All right, I'll make it really quick, see if I can get into 30 seconds. I think we should expand Bearwise education and outreach. I think we should increase the funding for bear-resistant trash programs, dumpsters and personal residence trash. I think we should support electric fencing education and grants to help people put those in. I think we should partner with municipalities and HOAs in this educational process. Continue emphasizing coexistence over killing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2?
Okay, so basically what he said, I just feel that with all the education you have done, it's not getting through, because I'm still telling people things that are in this literature. And then I also think somehow, I know DEEP doesn't always have to make these decisions, some of them have to come from the legislature, but we need to work on maybe a statewide bird feeding ordinance, and we need to get funding to do a lot of what he said, to be able to allow towns to get those dumpsters, to get the bear resistant trash cans to people. It just needs to be like ramped up from what you've been doing.
Thank you. Number 3?
Come all the way from New Milford. So I may have a prize for the longest trip. Anyway, my wife and I go out to Minnesota frequently now, and we attend what's known as a field study for bears. And it's run by Dr. Lynn Rogers, who Jane Goodall says he is the Jane Goodall bears. In any event, one strategy he uses is, the bears are hungry, so feed them. He says diversionary feeding will move the bears to an area that's away from residential areas. So if you can find the money in your town budgets, yeah, go ahead and set up feeding stations for the bears, because the fed bears are very happy and less nuisance bears. That to me would be the best way to do it.
Thank you. Number 4? In the back.
Thank you. What we've been proposing for the last few years is a grant program at the state level, which would be a $1 million grant program to subsidize bear-proof trash cans and electric fencing programs for people. And that would go to businesses and municipalities, so that's something we would support at the state level. And I want to thank Representative Mike D'Amico, who is here tonight. He's been a strong bear advocate in the past.
Thank you. Number 5.
Yeah, so I just want to emphasize the educational part because I see even people here, even after the comments, some still don't understand that, for instance, the woman that's concerned about children, safety, and everybody is, the electric fences. You can electric fence your yard, you can electric fence a school bus area. There's a lot that can be done there. And I think that municipalities, you know, they send out political pamphlets, but I think every new resident should receive a Bear-Wise pamphlet from the town so that they are aware of what they're moving into. So I think those are some good things that can be done.
Thank you. Number 6.
I'd like to echo almost everything that was just said and really emphasize the education piece, because I think the problem is Deep has great info on his website, as you say, it's not getting through to people. I do feel they need to really ramp that up. Having gone to the conference in Montana, there are so many communities out around the country that are success stories, and what they're really doing is ramping up the education and having technicians on the ground that would go to problem places, work with people, beekeepers, people with chickens, show them how to use the electric fencing, and they also have funds which will offset the costs, and even loan programs for something like bear unwelcome mats, electrified mats, to keep bears out of chicken coops, et cetera. So there are a number of things that Deep could do that other agencies have done very successfully, so I encourage that.
Thank you. Number 7.
Right here. Hi, my name's Wendy Welch, and I'm a wildlife biologist over in West Cornwall, Connecticut. So I might have you, New Milford. I really appreciate what Deep has done as far as the education you guys have done. And the biggest thing is not spreading fear, because that fear leads to not a good situation with how we are going to deal with this human-bear conflict. It is a human-bear conflict, human first. So it's a people problem. I did a study in 2022, mapping, GIS mapping, which I appreciate, that was awesome slides, looking at Litchfield County in particular, and not taking into account the fact that 2 people could say they cited the same bear on the website. It looked like, without taking that into account, we had a third of the bears in Litchfield County, which our resources could support. And that's just from the information in Connecticut. But there's 2 things that I wanted to also put in that situation, sorry. I know, Flattery and solar, Night Guard Solar.
Thank you so much. Number 8.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I also live in West Hartford. I'm on a street with a lot of children, and I'm a huge animal lover, but I'm very, very attuned to the kids and keeping them safe. I totally agree with the educational part of it, and I'm wondering if there's any way that we can have some organization do just little workshops in elementary schools so that they can learn, children can actually learn about the bears and what to do if they see a bear on the way to school, walking home, in their yard. I think that would be one of the best things that we could possibly do for kids.
Thank you. Number 9.
Hello, my name is Mary. As I mentioned, I live in the Farmington, West Hartford line, and I have for the last 33 years walked West Hartford Reservoir very regularly. And I think my experience in the small section, which is maybe a football field or 2 football fields large, I've seen all kinds of animals: bears, cats, fox, possum, coyotes,
a snapping turtle or snapping turtle laying eggs. I mean, it's really amazing the diversity of animals that live in that area. And I think my concern and my lived experience is that as the habitat itself has more pressures on it, either development around the area of building, or my experience is there's been a lot more mountain biking trails that have just been developed, that I'd like to see some emphasis on preserving habitat and the balance between recreation and the animals living there. Thanks.
Thank you. Number 10?
I'd like to stress again that for some of us, a lot of these solutions are just too residential to be a perfect solution. My goat pasture abuts a cattle pasture. None of us are hiking trash 200 yards out for bears to find, but they still try our fences, which creates a problem even when the bear isn't there. And so all this emphasis on strictly non-lethal means that don't cap the population amounts to a tax on those of us who keep livestock. And it's a tax that the rest of you simply don't pay. These are Eversource energy rates that's charging our fences, to say nothing of the time that's got to be spent on maintenance. And as great as all these suggestions are, those of us with livestock would, like to stay in livestock in Connecticut.
Thank you. Number 11?
In addition to what was said, I do think that those who have livestock or a large field should be recipients of that grant we were talking about to be supported, so they can come and do more one-on-one support, encouragement, not merely encouragement, but actually study that pertains to each of them. That's one thought. I hope that doesn't count over in 1 minute. So I think there's only 9 municipalities that have feeding ordinances, and out of 169. So the bird feeding issue should be not only proposed, suggested, but mandated. There has to be a robust enforcement of attractive management, attractants, everything that attracts the birds. And in terms of education, yes, absolutely, it should be based in schools for children. They are our future, and also in common places in towns.
Thank you. Number 12?
Yeah, I really like that idea someone put out. If you live in a high bear area, when you move in, they give you a little pamphlet. Maybe if these whistles aren't cheap enough, they can give you one of those bear whistles too. And maybe municipalities, if there's not state grants, maybe municipalities can at least let people know where to buy one, maybe subsidize one if they can, and just spread the word on them. I didn't really know they existed until I got here, so I put a lot of people on the same boat.
Thank you. 13?
Hi everybody, I'm Blanca, I'm in college. But I also think it's very important to bring this to students in school and in college. I'm a current college student, and I wasn't aware that it was a big issue as parents in Griffin right now. I would love to learn more about this in school, and maybe our young students can also help provide solutions, and maybe we can help out with gift grants and other stuff like that. And I think it's just good to bring more educational programs to situations like this so we can help out.
Thank you. Number 14?
Oh, you're going to have to get her the mic because she's going to voice for me. I'm deaf. He's just going to see. Hi, my name is John, and I'm from Vernon. I'm a hunter. And so when I go to and I hunt there. But I hunt for deer, and I hunt for turkey, and also it helps control the population. And I hear some people, they like seeing the bears, they enjoy that, but at the same time, I'm deaf, all right, and I'm sitting there. I can't hear, the noise or anything that's going on. And 2 times we've had bears come right along by, and it's scary. And also at the same time, I see more bears than I see deer. And I think there needs to be some management of that, of the numbers of them. And teaching is important, but I think you need to manage the population.
Thank you. Number 15.
Hi, I'm from East Windsor, and I'm a high school student. So I've been doing some research into other states that have a hunting season for bears. And just recently, Florida implemented a hunting season for bears, and they've been showing a great decrease in the bear population, which has helped with the interactions between humans and bears. So I feel like that our state should implement bear hunting season in order to help decrease the bear population and bear-human conflicts.
16 in the back.
Hi, I'm from Granby, and I would totally support a statewide program with multi-agency enforcement authority for limiting feeding. And at some point, I think we're going to need to have a hunting program. The bear population is growing like crazy, and the problem isn't the bears, it's the people who are feeding them. There's more bears than naturally occur in some of their habitat areas. So it's time to prune the herd, and I support a hunting program, and I also strongly support an enforcement program for things like feeding the bears, and because that's just making the problem worse. And I know the municipalities, even if they have anti-feeding rules, are pretty reluctant to enforce them, but the word's got to get out and the people got to be trained.
Thank you. Number 17.
Hi, I moved to West Western about 4 years ago from Colorado, and in 16 years in Colorado, hiking in the mountains, I lived just outside Boulder. I saw one bear far away. The day that I moved in, the news was on my front lawn asking me, am I related to the bear in the tree? I'm on North Quaker Lane, West Hartford, fairly busy road. But, you know, that wasn't me, it was down the road, but I've also been awakened, you know, in a recliner. I fell asleep in the living room, and there was a bear right on the other side of the window on my back porch. I don't have anything out in the yard or anything. I just wanted to echo this about the education in the schools. I work in Braille, and we always have Operation Lifesaver programs where you go into the schools and you're teaching the kids about safety. So really a lot of great ideas here tonight, and I want to commend the town and Deep for putting this on.
Thank you. Number 18.
Hi, I'm Linda. I'm from West Hartford. My comments pretty much echo what others have said. What the main concern for me that I think we should be doing is really promoting more of the bear-resistant trash cans. I don't think a lot of people even know that those are available. In West Hartford, we have to get them through the trash service company, and we have to rent them for a price tag that's not exactly cheap for everyone. So if the state and the town could subsidize that, I think that would be a great deterrent and would really help. Right now, we just can't get consistency. Some people have them, some people don't. You know, if there's one house in the neighborhood where bears have access to food, they're going to come back. So, thank you.
Thank you. Number 19.
Talking about bear management, if a mother is accidentally killed, given that open black bear cubs under 16 pounds are euthanized, and older cubs may still be dependent on their mothers until the age of 2 years old, how does the Bear Fund align with Deep's stated mission of responsible wildlife management and humane treatment of animals? Those cubs will die.
Thank you. Is there a number 20?
Since we were supposed to really only answer these questions, I wasn't going to speak, but since it has sort of turned towards hunting, the conversation, I am going to speak. And so what I'd like to say is that bears are a keystone species in Connecticut, and if you're not familiar with that term, watch a PBS show called The Serengeti Rules. It's about keystone species and what happens when they are removed from an area. But in a nutshell, it means that it's a species that fulfills a role that no other species can. And our bears fulfill a huge role in the health of our forested areas. And I found a study from Ontario from 2023 that said that bear hunting did nothing to decrease human-bear conflicts. And it actually increased conflict in hunting areas because bear families are disrupted, and that leads to orphans, which can lead to more problem bears. And you can't blame them, and it just increases the problem. I'm in the woods all the time. I'm a big hiker. I come across bears all the time. I've never had a negative encounter with a bear. I am bear aware, and I am always aware of my surroundings.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there a number 21? Number 21? So what resources would be helpful in your area?
Hi, how's it going? My name's Jared. I'm from Columbia, so I'm a little farther east, but we still do have bears out there, and I see them fairly often. And I'm just going to make a quick comment that it's usually going to be a little unpopular in this room, and I respect everybody's opinion, but all the surrounding states, especially up north, have regulated bear hunting and have significantly less home entries than we do. Massachusetts had 3 last year. We had 67. They have 2 to 3 times the number of bears that we do, and the regulated next to do. Here's the
Thank you. Is there number 22? Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap up here. All right.
Conversation is not correlation. We need to remember that.
Studies on brown
Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate you being here. Like it's the holiday season, I know you all made the effort to come out tonight. I want to get you out here on time. Thank you so much for your respect. Before you go, I have one challenge for everyone here in the room. Look, you're all leaders in your communities. You care enough about this issue to make the effort to come out tonight. So in the back of the table, we have our outreach and education materials there with some bear whistles, which I hope there's a few left. We're here to spread the word about bears, but oftentimes the most trusted resource isn't actually the government official standing in the front of the room, it's your friends and your neighbors. So challenge you to take some of those outreach materials, please share them with your communities, your tax cards, etc. And thanks so much, have a great evening.
And for those of you who wrote some things on your papers, please make sure to hand those in to us. Your comments are really valuable, and we hope to thank you very much.